Ah.
You can't get the stuff these days as a church warden. Okay, what about a tenner? You've got some of your family here. What are they thinking? More, great, more. 100? More. 1,000? More. 10,000? More. 100,000? Shall I just keep going? More. Look at that there. So, there we go. Do you think that's what you were, Sandra? Do you think that will do it? In fact, you're priceless. Priceless. We're all much loved children of God and priceless. Okay, let's just pop that down because we do need to have a Bible reading. Oops, it's just got a bit stewy. There we go, that will do it. Don't worry if it rolls up. Right, we've got another one, don't go away. There we go. Right. Let's pop it back that way. There was once a man. A happy man. He'd got a family. He'd got 2 sons. And one day his youngest son came to him and said, "Dad, give me half of my inheritance now, please." Very polite thing to do, was it? He was really wishing his dad dead. But anyway, his father gritted his teeth, went to the bank and paid out a lot of money. And that younger son, well, he decided to go and explore the world and have a good time. And so he headed off that way. And what you could do in those days, he did it. Wine, women, song, more besides. And he gathered a great group of friends. They loved it because he always said, "The drinks are on me." But he soon ran down all that money. And it wasn't helpful because his clothes were beginning to wear out and he couldn't afford to replace them. And he ended up with a hole in his pocket. And all that he had left fell out. He was left with nothing. He was destitute. My friends will help me out, he thought. But his friends were fair weather friends. So he was stuck. Anyway, he managed to get a job feeding the pigs. Not a great job for someone who was Jewish. And there was plenty of food for the pigs to eat, but not a lot for him. So he ate the pods the pigs were eating. He was cold, he was tired, he was smelly, he was hungry, he was fed up. And one day he thought, "Do you know what? My father's servants are treated better than me. Why don't I just go home and say, 'Sorry, Dad, I've messed up big time.' Could I come back as one of his servants?" So that's what he did. He headed off and he went that way, back home. Now his father had a very special pair of glasses. It says in the Bible, when his son was a long way off, his father spotted him. So he must have had a good pair of glasses. And he welcomed his son home. In fact, he ran and greeted him and put his arms round him and the best cloak around him and put a ring on his finger. And then he had the fatted calf killed. The fatted calf wasn't very happy about that. And they had a great feast. And everybody was happy, particularly the dad. Well, everybody, not quite. Elder brother was really fed up because he'd served his father faithfully and he went down the field and had a good sulk. And his dad came and saw him and put his arm round him and said, "Look, come and join the party, rejoice, your brother who was lost is home." Well, he wasn't convinced. He said, "Look, I've served you faithfully all the years and I've not had a party or a ring on my finger." He was fed up. And that's where the story ends. So maybe think about who you are in the story. or who you could be, and how you would feel about things, whether you'd want to sulk at the bottom of the field or rejoice. Something to think about. Right, let's put this down. Just leave it, Sandra, yeah, because it will roll up from this end. Brilliant. Super. If you'd like to go back and join your family, that would be lovely. And I will just say a few more words. So that's a Bible reading set for today. And the younger son went missing, but he returned. The elder son went missing from the welcome home party. And, well, who thinks his sulk had a bit of justification? Doesn't seem very fair, does it? You've got to think about that one. But which family member is completely missing? Mum! Mum! Maybe she died. And for quite a lot of us here, that will be the case. Our mothers have died. And Mothering Sunday can be a hard one for many people. Maybe she'd gone missing, left her dysfunctional family, maybe for a sulk at the bottom of the garden, or maybe permanently. And I think all mums might have had a moment when at least they need a sulk in the pantry. But for some, their families are apart, and that's a hard one, especially on Mothering Sunday. But maybe she was there and doesn't get a mention because she was just taken for granted. And I guess most of us will have taken our mothers for granted at some point. All those things they do to care for others. We often accept and don't notice until it doesn't happen. Maybe when mum's ill. When my mother was ill, we had porridge for tea. It was quite fun the first night, it wasn't after that. And it is great that Mothering Sunday has evolved into Mother's Day and has become a day to appreciate mums. Esme, I hope you appreciate your mum. But of course, Mothering Sunday began as a Christian refreshment break in the middle of Lent. It's called Refreshment Sunday. It was a day when the servants were allowed to go home, take with them some simnel cake for their mothers maybe, and go to church together, recognising that God and the church are our mothers too. They care for us all times, all places. The parable we've heard is often called the parable of the prodigal son because he was reckless, wasteful with all his money. But in some Bibles it is called the parable of the loving father. The dad in the story is thought to represent God and his love which never gives up and looks for us when we're far away from him and longs for our return. And just like a mum does, wants to welcome us home, whether it's the end of the school day or we've been on our first trip away with friends. There with the kettle on, maybe to wipe a tear from our eyes. And we give thanks for that, whether it happened yesterday or decades ago. But Jesus likens himself to a mum, a mother hen. 2 weeks ago in our gospel reading we heard how Jesus wept over Jerusalem and said, "How long I have wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing." So just for a moment, imagine that you are a little fluffy chick, all snuggled up and cosy under mother hen's wings. However old or young you are, we all need moments like that. And this is what God and his church offers you today, Mothering Sunday. His love, his care, his protection, his welcome home, every day. Because, well, how much are you worth? We're all priceless.